All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Chupacabra's lair. I'm your host, Larry, and we're back here today to check out Junket, which is made by Elijah Monero, and it's a Horde/wave survival shooter that takes place in space. The story goes that we are an adventurous, spacefaring astronaut who may have gotten involved in like a space battle or something, and we have crash-landed on a desolate alien planet, and it's full of murder bots. I don't know if you're familiar with murder bots, but they like to murder people, so that's probably going to be an issue. But on the plus side, they are robots, which means they're made out of scrap metal and stuff, which hopefully will allow us to repair our spaceship. So we're taking a look at this game while it's in early development here today, to check it out, and yeah, I mean, that's the name of the game here today. Let's jump right in and see how everything goes. We'll just play on regular difficulty. I don't have any tokens to buy some additional items that might help us out while we're battling things. So we're just going to jump into a regular story mode mission and see how everything goes. So here we are on our lovely green planet, devoid of any other sentient life forms. And we've already got to start fighting for our lives against hordes of very slow-moving murder bots. I would assume, if I was going to put a story reason behind it as to where these things come from, that they're left over from either an ancient civilization or maybe a past war, and these particular robots are just a little bit on the slow side because they've been out in the weather, maybe they're a little bit rusty. But what they want to do is they want to slowly chase after us and then use their little pinchers to tear us, presumably limb from limb. We, of course, are this lovely little low-poly astronaut. Looks like it's designed after the current astronaut environmental suits they use to take on spacewalks. So I love the very retro feel for that, as opposed to like something crazy futuristic that looks like it's made out of a bunch of different alien animals sewn together. And this is really a lot of what the game is currently. We kill robots, they drop their body parts, their scrap metal, and their little connecting rods and spinning discs, and we use those to do a variety of different things. If I go up to our ship here, conveniently in the future, ships are equipped with a 3D printer that not only can repair the ship, but it can also give us some goodies, yeah? So we can do things like buy a shotgun, or buy an assault rifle. We can purchase some placeable items that, when triggered, will cause different effects, like, you know, the turret will shoot everything. The ice ball will slow things down in a certain radius. We can also get some utilitarian items that do things like make a nova explosion, slow down time if we get hit by enemies. And this is actually pretty cool, because this is the type of stuff that I would definitely look for immediately in any shoot-'em-up game like this. It's very arcadey, because you need somewhere to go. You need to work up to something to keep you interested in the game. And this is definitely one of the things that's going to do it right off the bat. Now, the things that you're probably going to really want in a side of a horde shooter is, A, like I was just saying, you're going to want a nice variety in different weapons, upgrades, tools, equipment that you can get. That includes both your weapons and maybe also upgrades to your armor, like your spacesuits, so you can do crazy Iron Man stuff. But you're also going to want to have maybe a broader variety of enemies than we are currently seeing in the game right now. So really, the only upgrade in danger that we're going to experience in this game is that as you can see over here, there's actually a list of the number of robots remaining. We're also going to be fighting against saw blade bots and tank bots. And the difference really is that the saw blade robots are just a bigger version of these basic little retro robots, except they have, instead of an antenna, they've got a saw blade coming out of their head, and they're faster and they take more damage to kill. And then the tank robots are super fast. They kind of look like the Crushinator from Futurama. They're just a big green tank of a robot, and they're super fast and they're super tanky and they hurt a lot. But aside from getting to be more of a bullet sponge and be faster, they really don't do anything that interesting to start the game off. And that's not bad for like the first level, where you're just getting used to the game, used to the mechanics, used to the controls and the weapons and stuff. But as you get further into the game, you're gonna need enemies that shoot laser blasts at you. You're gonna need enemies that maybe teleport around, go invisible, fly a little bit. Just a whole variety of different enemies that provide you with not only some interesting visual variety, but also provide you with some challenge. Because one of the big things that's going to draw players through this game is going to be the challenge of combining all of the different elements that you give them, the weapons, the enemies, and the environments, in order to strategically figure out how they're going to survive and also figure out their play style in the game. Because being able to play a game your way is a huge deal when you're trying to keep people interested in your game and get them moving forward and actually experiencing all of the different levels. So in this case, you're going to want some enemies that do different stuff, but you're also going to want to also have some variety of environment. Because right now we just kind of have a flat plane. But good Horde shooters need some different tactical areas in the map that provide you with things like choke points where you can funnel all the enemies together and kill them so that you can focus on the more dangerous enemies. So like right now, you obviously have these very slow moving kill bots, but if I'm not careful and you introduce, say, a teleporting robot that tries to pick me up and hurl me around, if I haven't found a way to deal with these smaller robots tactically, I could be thrown into the middle of them and get trapped and slowly mauled to death before I can react. So there's really going to be an interplay of stuff to give people so that they feel more powerful as they upgrade their abilities and their equipment, and also that you make everything feel challenging and that they feel like they have some control over what's going on around them, so that they have different ways of overcoming different obstacles and challenges and enemies as they go along. They really need a certain amount of tactical agency in the game, I think is what I would describe it as, to really keep things interesting. And that's really, that's all I can say about this genre of game in general. I've played a lot of Killing Floor 2, so that's a lot of my experience. Killing Floor 2, they provide you with enemies that not only change as the difficulty goes higher, where their behavior changes, like if you shoot directly at them, they start to try to dodge out of the way. They've got enemies that go invisible. They've got enemies that can shoot at you, enemies that ignore your armor. All sorts of variety that when you put them all together with different sets of logic behind their maneuvering and their behavior, that starts to create ever-increasing layers of difficulty and challenge that keeps people playing into, like, nightmare level of difficulty. And I do see that you have nightmare level difficulty, and I will check that out here in a second after we see the tank robots. But those are just my general thoughts for what's going to make a really good wave survival game in general. What I can say about Junket right now is I see the foundation for all of those mechanics and components so that you can build upon those and make this game really fun and compelling. You're just gonna have to add, a lot more detailing, a lot more polish, and refinement on what you've already got, and I think you should be pretty good to go. I'm also not really sure what direction Elijah is taking this game. Could be this is a lot of what they're going for is a lot of melee-centric enemies, less about enemies that want to shoot your brains out. But I would say that something that can fire back at you and do zany things like teleport around would definitely add to the game and make you drawn in a little bit more. I will say that I do like the variety of weaponry and equipment that you've already got in here. Like, say, the shotgun versus the assault rifle versus this puppy over here, which we're going to see soon. This is a flippin' death ray. But you've also got the ability to have some familiars that you can equip that will follow you around and do stuff. That, of course, after all the fun of blasting robots to bits, you happen to remember that you have a ship to repair. You can also do that and fly out into the wild blue yonder. So it's got all the foundation I would expect to see. So now you just got to play with it, add on to it, and see where it goes from there. Definitely going to say the environment, like right off the bat, the one thing I would want to see right now is this environment needs some work. This is just a flat plane with some grass, and it's really, really boring. The graphics on this, I mean, they're not crazy. They're very basic, but the way that you use them to create some very retro-style robots from the dawn of science fiction isn't a bad choice. You might try to add some more detail onto there to make them look more interesting so that when you do add, if you do add, I should say, more enemies, that they can be very zany looking and compared to just these standard blocky ones. But what you got right now isn't bad. I'm not always looking for world earth-shattering, cutting-edge, new-age graphics. In fact, anymore, those are kind of getting a little bit old hat. So this is all looking like what I would expect, and you just gotta kind of play with it. The other thing that might be interesting is a more upfront story that's going on, because we're currently playing a story mode, and the story mode right now is a lot more of setting and kind of figuring things out for yourself as you go, and less about an actual set-in-stone set of characters that all have their own motivations and reasons why we're here. So if I was going to put a story in this, and I was thinking about this when I was first playing it, this game has a really kind of fun and colorful graphical design to it. Everything's very low poly and kind of cartoony. I would almost expect a game like this to have a type of sort of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy story to it, where we're kind of like a slacker space adventuring astronaut, and we're here in this solar system not just because we're an explorer, because we do kind of enjoy doing that on the weekends, but also we're really into space gambling, and we owe our bookie or our loan shark a whole lot of money. And in order to try to get some cash to pay him back, we're trying to avoid them by being in this solar system, which has a bunch of these robots from an ancient war left over that currently control the system. But we're also trying to explore these different environments and kill a big scary boss robot so that we can get some old artifacts that we can sell to try and pay them off. And then we can kind of like flounder our way in an almost comical fashion, story-wise, through all these adventures until eventually we have to save a prince or a princess from some evil space invaders, and then we inadvertently end up becoming the hero. I think that would be really fun. It would be really funny, and it would give you a compelling reason to run through the story mode as opposed to just playing in the endless mode, fighting wave after wave of different robots, different crazy aliens, playing with different weaponry and all of that. And it would add a whole new layer of depth to this game. Now, I'm not saying that's what you got to put into it. I'm not saying that's the direction Elijah's going for in this game. I'm just kind of spitballing here and thinking about where the game could go. And what I'm seeing here a lot of is that it has a lot of different places it could go. It's got the foundation. Now you just got to build up on it. And I'd be very curious to see where it ends up from here. Let's go check out what's different in inside of a slightly higher difficulty and see how things change. Let's go to Madman difficulty and see what that's like. So the basic robots don't seem too difficult in comparison. It looks like they give you less resources. They don't always drop stuff, maybe? No, it looks like they still drop stuff. They take a little bit more to shoot. They seem to go about the same speed. There's more of them early on. And that actually, I kind of like that, because this would actually be easier to buy stuff. So I don't know if this is a superb challenge by just making them a little bit more meaty, but, you know, my thoughts remain the same even then. This game has that potential, just needs more stuff. I think you'd be good to go. So that's a little look at Junket here today. If you guys and gals at home are interested in checking this game out for yourselves, I will put a link to the game's page in the video description. Until next time, I've been your host, Larry. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. Bye, everybody, and have a good one.